Good morning, everyone. Today we will discuss about Robert Frost poem, "The Road Not Taken." First I tell you about Robert Frost. He is a major American poet. He was born in March 26, 1874, and he died in 1963. So he is a great nature poet also. Like Wordsworth, he writes about nature, but there is a difference between his nature poetry and Wordsworth's nature poetry. So both love nature, both present nature in their poems, but Wordsworth presents a rosy picture of nature, and Robert Frost presents a realistic picture of nature. Nature is not always soothing and comforting, according to Robert Frost, and he says nature is sometimes very deceptive, nature is sometimes very hostile, nature is sometimes very unfriendly. So, this is a difference. And as you know, William Wordsworth writes about common objects of nature. He writes about common people in common language, and I give you some examples of his poems. For example, Ode to Cuckoo, Daffodils, Solitary Reaper, Leech Gatherer. These are some famous poems of William Wordsworth. And on higher level, in graduation level, you will read his Tintern Abbey, Ode to Immortality. These are also very famous poems by Wordsworth. So, Wordsworth, whenever he feels sad in this bad, mad world, he goes to the lap of nature, he embraces trees, he sits under the shades of trees, he listens to the music of cuckoo, he enjoys the beauty of daffodils and reflecting and dancing daffodils. So, in the same way, Robert Frost also presents a beautiful picture of nature. His famous poem Birches. Birches is the name of tree. It's a very beautiful poem, and so this the road not taken. This is in your syllabus. So, in this poem, the poet deals with the problem of choice, how each and every person has to make a choice at every step of life. So the theme of the poem is problem of choice, and let us read the poem. Two roads diverge in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down, one as far as I could, to where it went in the undergrowth. Let us understand the first stanza. The poet traveler is going, and there are two roads, and those two roads are diverging in a yellow wood. Yellow here means this is autumn season, and there are so many leaves on the ground, and due to autumn season the color of the leaves has turned yellow, and that is why he says yellow wood. And the poet says he is very sorry. He's not able to walk on both the roads. He will have to choose one road, because we know no one can choose two paths at one time. We have to make one choice at one time, right? So he says, I couldn't travel both the roads, and I became one traveler. And long I stood, because this poem is also about life. This road represent our life. In life we have to make choice. In the same way, as the poet stands for a long time and thinks a lot, similarly, human beings have to make a choice when life presents two choices before them. So we have to think, we have to take suggestion, we have to take advice. So the poet traveler is talking about the road that was not taken. Road not taken. See the title? The road not taken. So he chooses the road, but he at the end, later in his life, he thinks about that road which was not taken. Okay. So he says, I stood there for a long time, I stayed there for a long time, and I looked on the roads before me, and he observed that, he noticed that those two roads uh, looked down, one as far as I could, and to where it bent in the undergrowth, and one road was there, was ending where there were bushes, right? Then he took the other. Let us read the next stanza. Then took the other as just as fear. First he looks at one road, then he looks at the other road, and that other road was very just, and it was suitable for him, and he thought that, and it was fair, and having perhaps the better claim, and he thought it would be better to take that road. It was more promising. So because it was grassy and wanted wear, how did he know? कैसे पता चला कि ये बढ़िया रोड है कि मैं इसको ले लेता हूँ? Because it was grassy. And grassy means there were grass and people. There was grass and very few people walked on that road. बहुत कम लोग उस पे चले थे, मतलब ऐसे रास्ते लाइफ में होते हैं कि हाँ, वी चूज दोज पाथ्स which very few people opt. So it was grassy and it wanted wear, यानी कि इस पर चलने की ज़रूरत थी. And though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. And in the next stanza, the poet says that in the morning when he observes the roads, it seemed to him that both the roads were equal, because both the roads were covered with leaves and no one had trodden upon them. And then he says with a deep breath, "Oh, I kept the first for another day." So he makes a choice and chooses the other one, and he keeps the first road for another day. कि मैं किसी और दिन इस पर चलूँगा. But life is very fast. We do not look back. We continue our journey, and we forget that path which we leave for another day. So yet knowing how way leads on to way, पोइट को पता था कि अब एक बार चूज कर लिया है, एक रास्ता दूसरी तरफ जाएगा, उससे आगे बढ़ता चला जाएगा. वन वे लीड्स टू अनदर, एंड आई डाउटेड इफ आई शुड एवर कम बैक, and he is doubtful whether he should be able to come back, whether he will get chance to come on that road, to travel on that road. So इस कश्मकश में, इस dilemma में, इस confusion में, he chooses the other one which was grassy and wanted wear. So each and every person has to face this type of dilemma, has to face this type of difficult situation. He so every person has to make a choice. And in the last stanza he says, I shall be telling this with the sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I, and there's hyphen. It seems that he stops and he speaks slowly. I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. He says, in future, when I'll be old, or I'll be sharing this experience with the my coming generation, I with a great sigh, एक लंबी आह के साथ मैं क्या बताऊंगा आने वाली जनरेशन को, two roads. I will share this experience of having two roads which were diverging in the yellow wood, and I chose that path, that road which was less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Means difference came to his life. That choice made the difference. That choice made his life different. So both aspects are presented in the poem. He expresses his dilemma. Expresses, shares his experience of his youth and of his old age. And the title is The Road Not Taken. So a time comes in a human being's life when they think about that road which was left by them, which was not traveled by them, and both aspects are presented. They enjoy that path, they enjoy that road which was chosen by them, and we also think about that road which was not taken by us, which was left by us. And Robert Frost's poems are very simple on surface level, but there is very hidden meaning in his poems. And one critic says about Robert Frost, his poems begin in delight and end end in wisdom. So there is some beautiful thought, and there is some wise thought in his poems. And enjoy this poem. Thank you so much.